Pakistan is a vast and diverse country, inhabited by 153.5 million people. 23 million of the country's inhabitants are under the age of 5. Indeed, the increase in population is so rapid that 5 million children come into the world each year. However, the everyday life of the younger generation, the country's future, does not seem to meet the basic needs of childhood and adolescence. It appears the action of the government alone does not suffice so as to ensure the basic needs of this ever-growing population, and nor does it fulfill its obligations to protect the rights of its citizens. As a result, many children, and women in particular, are faced with lack of education and health facilities, illiteracy, child labor, early marriage, domestic violence, and even honor killings.
Poverty is the mother of so many social evils, and poverty alleviation is the basic thing. Population, the control of population is the another primary thing. So we are working on these two issues with the help of donor agencies, international organizations.
13% of the Pakistani population lives on less than $1 per day. Poverty urges many children to work hard in order to enhance the family income, and as a result, child labor is tolerated by many people. According to unofficial estimates, there are 8 million children working in the country. Poverty creates a vicious circle, as working children do not have the time to go to school. Illiteracy perpetuates poverty and robs the children of hope for a better future. One visit to the so-called brick people indeed reveals more than words could ever do. There are about 2 million brick people all around the country. Most of these people are non-registered citizens. And even when they are registered, the fact that they come from different regions makes them invisible for the local system, as far as basic services and rights are concerned.
ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰੀ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਹੋਣਾ ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦੀ ਤੇ ਬਸ ਆਪਣਾ ਵਕਤ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਪਏ ਜੋ ਵੀ ਵਕਤ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਨਿਭਾਉਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਡਿਸਪੈਂਸਰੀਆਂ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਫਰੀ ਹੋਣ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਤਰਫੋਂ ਔਰ ਸਕੂਲ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਫਰੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਤਾਲੀਮ ਦੇਣ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਵਿਚਾਰੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾ ਸਕਣ ਇਹ ਮਜ਼ਦੂਰੀ ਨਾਲ ਆਪ ਦਾ ਪੇਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਾਲਦਾ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਣ
For these people, the day begins before the crack of dawn. Adults and children wake up while it is still dark. They have breakfast and prepare for work. By the time the sun is up, everybody is already working in the brick kilns. Despite the fact that Pakistan's national law prohibits slavery and child labor, and that the country has ratified the ILO Convention on the worst forms of child labor, and has adopted a national plan for its abolition, the situation of child labor in Pakistan continues to be a cause of grave concern. The heavy burden of family debt is very often shared with children, and therefore it is very frequent that from a very tender age, children are required to work so as to support their parents in their efforts to pay off their debts. In the brick kilns, where bonded labor has also been reported, one entire family is paid 150 Pakistani rupees, about 2.15 euros, for every 1,000 bricks made. A direct consequence for children in situations of child labour is that they do not go to school. In the case of rural Darvesh Kot, however, where these brick kilns are, there is no school for them to go to anyway. This area does not have a hospital either.
हाँ बच्चे नहीं पढ़ सकते निके निके बच्चे नाल को लोदे सटे बुटी में से कुटा उना सारे देखा किसे गाल को चाय दा कपड़ा भी है इको बच्ची है बच्चे फौत हो गए ऑपरेशन ना होने भी खर्चा भी नहीं देंदे थे काम बहुत लेंदे ने पूरा भी नहीं देंदे नहीं गवर्नमेंट तो ये काम कर रही आपसे तो आपके अमदाद ही चाहिए
In the nearby village of Ramkot, there are schools for both boys and girls. In the school for boys, classes are taught in the schoolyard throughout the year, with the exception of the summer months when the heat is unbearable and classes are moved indoors. Discipline remains the main characteristic of school life.
Pakistan!
However, girls are also equally disciplined. The building they now use as a school used to be a barn. It was only 3 years ago that this building was transformed into a school, and this was achieved with the help of a local NGO. It would be false to claim that this is a situation faced only by children who live in villages and rural areas. There are many children in the country's urban centres that are also obligated to work. Girls usually work as domestic helpers, many times assisting their mothers, while boys work in a range of formal or informal activities. Instead of going to school and enjoying the carefree life of a child, a large number of children work really hard in order to contribute to the family income. They are as professional and effective as an adult would be, and sometimes even more passionate, as they subconsciously replace their lost play with work. The money they earn is negligible. It provides for a difficult daily survival, yet robs the children of the opportunity to invest in their future through education. Attending school is not an option for these urban working children either. Indeed, education seems to be a privilege in Pakistan, where the adult literacy rate is approximately 48% and only 35% for women. The numbers are staggering. More than a third of the country's 10-year-olds have never attended school, despite the fact that primary education is compulsory. Boys are usually favoured over girls when a family can afford to send its children to school. Indeed, in terms of gender parity, Pakistan is listed among those countries that have the highest disparities in enrolment between girls and boys. As for higher education, this remains a distant dream for most of the country's girls, since 2% have the opportunity to go to university. This woman is working as a domestic helper to raise her family. Her husband is a drug addict living in a village. She has 4 daughters and 2 baby boys. Only the youngest daughter is lucky enough to go to school, as the 3 older girls have to work with their mother.
इतने बच्चे नखरा जात पूरे नहीं साडे हुंदे असी आदे रोजियां कमांदे फिरने परदेसदारी पिंडा थावां विच आए मैं साडे इत्थे कोई है नहीं भी कोई साडे वसैल नहीं सी कोई दुकानां वाले नहीं है छोटे छोटे बच्चे ने 1500 1000 लवींदा मेहनत करदियां हाँ जी एक बच्ची से जांदी नहीं हिम्मत नहीं है ना साडे गरीबां लोगां विच ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਦੇ ਅਖਰਾਜਾਤ ਘਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਕਰੇ ਕਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣਾਈਏ
ਦੂਸਰੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰ
ਕੀ ਸੋਚੀਏ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਮਾਈ ਹੋਵੇ ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਅਮਦਾਦ ਕਰੇ ਤੇ ਫੇਰ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ। ਮੇਰਾ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਦਾ ਮਰਲਾ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ 4 ਮੇਰੀਆਂ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਬੱਚਾ ਖਾਮਦ ਨਸ਼ਈ ਹੈ ਕੰਮ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪ ਆਦੀ ਕਮਾਈ ਕਰਤੇ ਤੇ ਪ੍ਰਦੇਸ਼ ਚ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਫਿਰਨੇ ਕੋਈ ਵਸਾਇਲ ਐਸਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਰੱਬ ਹੀ ਕੱਟ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ ਕੋਈ ਬੰਦਾ ਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਕਦਾ।
This little boy is their neighbour. He had his eye operated on, and the whole treatment cost his family the salaries of almost 4 months. Pakistan is one of the least advanced countries when it comes to health and accessibility to relevant services. This has a grave impact on the health, well-being, and development of children.
गवर्नमेंट भी इस महंगे ना प्राइवेट तो ज़्यादा ही महंगे ना।
Judging from the current situation, children's rights have not featured among the basic priorities of the government of Pakistan. Due to domestic violence and hardship faced by their families, thousands of children run away from home and end up living in the streets. In order to survive, they resort to begging, stealing, pickpocketing, and even prostitution. Many of these children end up in jail. Failures of the judicial system and law enforcement agencies may even result in the sentencing to death of individuals younger than 18 years of age. Fundamental human rights are compromised in Pakistan on a daily basis. However, not mentioning the recent efforts of the government would be unfair. Things seem to be changing for the better, but still most of the initiatives in the field of human rights are being carried out by international and local NGOs, which have created a booming civil society in Pakistan and have gained the confidence of the people. They bring along innovation and flexibility, something which allows them to be more effective as far as the protection of human rights is concerned.
NGOs can trigger leadership capacity. NGOs can trigger like the we feeling in the people, the confidence that they can do things themselves, the confidence of giving a better vision. So they can provide vision, they can create activism, they can sort of give hope of alternate solutions against only one solution or only one strategy of the government. So a huge difference can be made by the NGOs. Once people, when you invest in people, once a mindset is changed, no one can stop.
Upon reaching adulthood, teenagers face severe sex discrimination. Young women know that they have to overcome many difficulties simply in order to secure their basic human rights, such as access to education, to work, to receiving medical treatment, or to participate in political and public life. Approximately 65% of the country's women are illiterate. The personal growth and development of the majority of women is stalled. Educated or not, most of the women work at home and in the agricultural or manufacturing sector. Only a small minority occupies senior managerial positions. Although women play a vital part in the income-generating ability of the male members of their families, they are alarmingly often faced by unemployment. The vast majority of women in Pakistan occupy the private sphere. They are expected to take care of their household and their children. The fertility rate in Pakistan is 4.3 children per woman.
In our families, in our society especially, males are handling the same, the whole expanse of the families, everything, all kinds of decisions. And when we prepare some females in the practical work and we give them skills, then they become confident and they do something for their own, for their family, for their children, and they become confident and they become the part of the decision-making procedure as well.
It will be held next month and will start with classes in the evening.
During the past few years, more and more girls and young women tend to go to school and receive an education. However, shaking off deep-rooted gender roles remains a difficult challenge, even for those women who receive a higher education.
Lots of masters people do here, but they can't get their job properly immediately. There is a job problem in our country very much.
If you are a girl, you have to face problems. You have to be ready. You have to prepare yourself for some troubles.
Everybody passes personal comments and judgment on the female social activity, according to their own thoughts and thinking.
You just get a step out of your house, and you get strange comments, strange remarks passing over you.
From even our neighbors, not so as far, from our neighbors also, our social family members.
Well, she's not a good girl. If she's a good girl, why is she doing a job? We are not condemning our society. We are not condemning males. We are not condemning any our system. We are just trying to tell that we must be considered something. Because if you have masters, if you get master degree, and that male has also got master degree, we should be equally considered equal.
Yeah. I want to become a teacher.
Okay. I want to become a teacher. I want to get married. If I'm going to get a job, I will do it just like as a hobby. I'm not being forced to do a job outside the field by my parents or any other person, and I don't want to be forced in my next life to be forced to get a job. An educated mother can bring up her children more efficiently and more finely than an ignorant woman.
Pakistani women face direct and indirect abuse and violence on a daily basis. According to Amnesty International, 42% of women accept violence as part of their fate. Due to a lack of awareness, women very often believe that they actually deserve this gender-based violence. Honor-related killings and acid throwing still remain common practices in the country. As far as the health sector is concerned, one can observe a significant difference between urban and rural areas. This difference does not only relate to the availability of and accessibility to hospitals and health centers, but also extends to include social attitudes regarding the provision of medical care by male doctors to female patients. Indeed, in the absence of women doctors and nurses, women frequently choose to remain uncared for. 23% of births have been attended by skilled health staff between 1995 and 2003, mainly in urban areas. Life expectancy at birth is 63 years, ranking Pakistan as 124th out of 177 countries.
Men don't want to have the female to go to male doctors and such kind of problems. And it's a natural thing. You don't want your wife to go to the male doctor and don't want anyone to touch her. So that's why it's also a religion problem also. In our religion, we don't like male to touch the female except the husband. So this is a problem. But the female doctors have such kind of problems in rural area or there they face the problem. They have to wear the veil or hijab and some kind of things to get rid of the problems, so that they have to do. If I work in the rural area or countryside, I will do the same. I will wear the hijab in the same religious dress, and then I will do like that.
Very often, oppression and lack of initiative turn women into victims in their everyday life. The ones that experience greater luck receive help mostly from NGOs, as state institutions in their majority are distant and fail to address women's needs and issues.
Approach is different than the government. Government system is very patriarchal, traditional system, and so, for example, if a woman is in the police station, she is considered to be a bad woman, because police station is never ever traditionally considered to be a good place for a woman to go.
When we met this woman, she was with All Mothers Educated Now, a Pakistani NGO based in Lahore that promotes education for women and also works for women prisoners. Her life consisted of a series of incidents of mistreatment and abuse. However, with the help of this organization, she was able to recover her strength and regain control of her life.
हमारा दोनों का बहुत प्यार था आपस में, और जब हमारी शादी को दिन ब दिन लेट होती गई, दिन गुजरते गए, बच्चे भी नहीं होते थे, और इसलिए मेरे ननानों और ससुराल सास इतना जुल्म मेरे पे करते थे, तो मैंने खुदा पर डोरी छोड़ दी। जुआ खेलता था। क्या जी? जुआ खेलता था। हाँ जी। तो इसलिए लोगों से पकड़ पकड़ के ना, तो वो इतना मजबूर हो गया कि वो अब दे भी नहीं सकता, और शराब पी के रोज़ लेट जाता है, ना खाने पीने का। उसे हाथ पकड़ के उसकी बीवी गई थी बाज़ार से, कह रही थी कि मैं ना अभी आती हूँ थोड़ी देर से, और तुम काम करके ना यही रहना। तो इतने में थोड़ी देर में उसका मियाँ आ गया बाहर से, तो मेरा हाथ पकड़ के अंदर ले गया कमरे में। हाँ जी, उनके अपने कमरे में। हाँ जी, बुरा काम लगने लगा ये, जैसे उसने मेरे साथ किया। जब उसकी बीवी को पता लग गया, तो उसने हमें घर से निकाल दिया।
One of the most essential ways for women to fight for their equal rights and freedoms is through their political participation. Over the last few years, more and more women have played an active role in the political scene of Pakistan, through membership in both local and national assemblies. Although many of these women came from families with political backgrounds, others did manage to make their way into politics completely on their own. Women received the right to vote and to stand for election in 1947. Currently, women's representation amounts to 0.1% at a ministerial level, 21% in the lower house, and 18% in the upper house.
It is not possible for me to give relief or help to anyone without having any power. And politics is the basic right for the woman to take a good participate, or to take power or to authority.
Actually, I've been in politics for 3 years, and since I have a political family background, and the services that have been rendered by my family, and I was also interested that maybe I would be able to make some difference in the lives of other women in my country, and especially in my area.
Given the remarkable work done by local NGOs with respect to human rights, the work of the EU-funded project NGOnet for Women and Children's Rights is of a great importance. Through the establishment of an active network of local NGOs that struggle for the protection of women and children's rights, the project aims to emphasize the importance of cooperation and exchange of information as a means for optimizing their work. Pakistani society has embraced the NGOs, as has also the Pakistani government, which is becoming more and more willing to cooperate with them.
Enhancement in education, coverage of the health facilities, improvement in drinking waters, etc., better communication networks and infrastructure, and then the projects in the participation of the NGOs also. I think the women's empowerment is now the focus of the government. Political participation by the women, you must have observed that now 33% women participation is there in the local government system, and 17 and 19% in the provincial assemblies and the national assemblies. So I think this will empower the women politically.
Everybody says that which we are giving 33% representation to women in the councillors. Everything is okay. No, this is not okay, because I was the 3-year and district tehsil councillor in the 2001 election. But in 3 year, we don't allow to in the meetings to sit with the all council. Yes, we are set from the other room, whereas we don't listen what is the procedure, what they say, what is the procedure, we don't know. 3 years only we are going there and we are take tea and we are return from this. This is, but my thinking is that the change is coming slowly.
The everyday work of the people working for the Pakistani NGOs is not easy.
If you work with the minds, it's very easy. But if you work with mentalities, it's very hard, because mentality is based on a certain culture, tradition, and it's a continued process in which you reinforce the previous traditions. So it's very hard, but we have faced a lot of problems. People walked out from our sessions as well, but we managed to cope with that.
However, the work of the NGOs is also very rewarding. When one sees what is going on in this room, one is filled with hope and strength. These projects are run by an organization that is a member of the NGOnet for Women and Children's Rights, based in Lahore, and works with child laborers. Most of the pupils of this school are working children. The people working for this organization manage to negotiate with the children's employers so as to get them into the classroom, even if this is just for a few hours every day.
We go to their factories and ask their bosses to say, let them go for 2-3 hours to teach, and then they approve, and then we teach them only for 2-3 hours or 4 hours, maximum 5 hours we can teach them.
And then they go back to work?
Yeah, they go back to work, and the next day they come again on the same timings, and then they go back to work.
Right by their side, one can see their mothers. They are learning how to make shoes, a practical skill that may allow them to earn some money, and in that way enhance their family income. Hopefully, when this happens, there will be no need to send their children to work. On the contrary, they will be able to send them to school.
यहाँ पर हम अपनी औरतों को जो महाजराबाद से ताल्लुक़ रखती हैं, उनको ट्रेनिंग देते हैं शू मेकिंग की, और इसलिए देते हैं कि ये जो हमारे पास बच्चे आते हैं ये उनकी माएँ हैं, और वो अपनी इनकम में इजाफ़ा कर सकें, वो अपने बच्चों को काम पर ना भेजें, खुद अपना काम करें और अपनी इनकम में इजाफ़ा करके मार्केटिंग में यानी कि एक हुनरमंद बन जाएं। इस तरह से हमारे पास आ रही हैं 25 ख़वातीन आ रही हैं, तो वो अपनी इनकम में इजाफे के लिए कर रही हैं।
These women are learning how to sew in a class run by Amen. They not only learn how to make clothes for their own children, but they also gain practical skills that could one day allow them to enter the labor market, make a living, and hopefully offer them the means to gain a level of independence.
It's inclusive. It brings people together. It's listening, and it's taking and giving. So in this process, you realize that most of the time maybe you are right, but most of the time you are wrong also, because it makes you think self-critically and create space for yourself, but also allow others to create space for themselves also. The whole agenda is learning to live together.
In Pakistan, a country of major contrasts, the life of men and women seems to differ in so many ways. Yet some recent legislative efforts and education policy initiatives, in combination with a strengthening and active NGO sector, are good signs for a better future.
The project NGOnet for Women and Children's Rights is funded by a Greek non-governmental organization, the Center of Strategic Planning for Development Dmitra, and the European Commission. It aims at creating a reliable network of 43 local Pakistani NGOs working in the field of women and children's rights. Through this project, we transfer knowledge, provide equipment, tools, and network activities in order for this organization to work better for the women and children's rights.
In this effort, they have found a valuable ally in the face of the European Commission and the European Initiative for Democracy and Human Rights. The EIDHR was established upon the initiative of the European Parliament in 1994. And ever since, its main aim has been to promote human rights, democracy and conflict prevention in third world countries by providing financial support for activities supporting these goals. The project NGOnet for women and children's rights in Pakistan falls within one of the 4 thematic priorities of the initiative, which focuses on strengthening democratization, good governance, and the rule of law. Pakistani society is changing. With a lot of effort from Pakistanis themselves, and with the help of donors such as the European Union, a future of equality and respect for human rights seems possible.